Bonjour, hello Natasha, hello from Paris. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. It's very cold here in London now, but yeah, otherwise I'm very well. How are you?
No, yes, it's funny to hear. I really miss London, but well, here in Paris it's quite sunny, but it's quite cold too. So yes, we're all staying at home safely, aren't we?
Yeah, definitely. It's nice to be inside actually when it's so cold outside. It's sunny here as well, which is nice, but yeah, freezing.
Yes, and talking about the sun, by the way, congratulations on the Los Angeles International Film Festival. I so much love attended it. So obviously we had discussed it quite a bit right during the year, and we were all looking forward to going to LA, going to the American film market and enjoying the festival. So obviously because of everything that's happening, it had to be hosted online, but bravo, like what a great event and amazing films. I just can't wait to go through it with you. What was your overall experience? Because it was probably quite a turning point, right? Not knowing if you could go ahead online, or how was the experience for you from a director's point of view?
Oh, it was a great experience. I'm really pleased actually. Thank you for all your kind words. It went really well. So obviously we would have liked to be in person at in LA at the venue and all networking together and meeting up and all of that. That would have been ideal, but obviously we couldn't do that. So we went online instead, which for me, the most challenging part was whether we could create a truly great experience online, because it's not just about putting the films online. A festival is so much more. It's meeting the filmmakers and having Q&As and being able to have a chat with each other and networking, and so sociable and so much more than just watching the films. So for me it was all about being able to create an experience for everyone, and it went really well. We had a lot of engagement, we had people chatting in different groups, we had a lot of different panels went on our YouTube channel, and it went really well. Everyone was really pleased, and we had lots of press and lots of filmmakers connecting with each other as well. So I'm really pleased. I feel like it was really successful.
That's fantastic. Yes, I loved attending it. I loved the panels. Thank you so much for inviting me on two panels. I loved all the panels and I've been watched all of them. And they were such fantastic guests, also sharing insights. And there's something that's quite interesting about this inaugural edition is that your idea was to make it happen during the American film market, right? Because obviously so many buyers, industry pros, also sales agent, distributors attend AFM. And so that's probably a very important point because a lot of filmmakers either wants to get a sales agent attached during the festival or they just want it to be distributed or seen. So can you tell us a little more about that? Because I guess it's one of the best, one of the core ideas behind the festival, right?
Yes, definitely. So the idea was always to have a sociable event, show the films at the same time as the AFM. AFM, as we all know, is so much all business and conferences and meetings, and it's very, very focused on that part of the industry. So we wanted to have a kind of a hangout, if you want to describe it that way, an alternative experience to add to the AFM. So to be there at the same time would be an opportunity for filmmakers to connect with sales agents and distributors who are already in LA for the AFM itself. So that was the reasoning behind doing that.
That's fantastic. And so for this inaugural edition, you hosted the festival on Eventive, is that correct? So how was the experience around it? Because you also hosted the panels on YouTube, right? And you had the Facebook group. So how did you add up to the whole experience, which as you say is quite important?
Yeah, so Eventive worked very well. What we decided to do was make most of the films available in all territories for the entire time of the festival, because that way people were able to watch at their own leisure whenever they were available. So that worked quite well, and we didn't have any kind of technical issues. What we did as part of what you can do on Eventive is upload Q&As with the filmmakers to accompany the films. So it's all within the same package. So if someone buys a ticket to watch a film, they would also be able to watch the Q&A with the filmmaker afterwards. So that worked really well. I recorded and uploaded all of that to the platform. And then additionally to that, we had a YouTube channel that was for all the panels, and trailers and things like that were all on there. And we also created a Facebook group, which was there to encourage people to chat to each other about what they had watched. So that worked really well, because that was a very community sort of aspect. And I think that that was really important to get people engaged with each other. And I had really good feedback about that as well.
Absolutely, that was so fantastic. Like I loved, for instance, one of the first films I watched was Marcus, and I loved it. It's such a heartfelt film. The acting is just phenomenal, and it's just a really important topic, right? Dealing with mental health and just a beautiful message overall. So I think it's from probably the Facebook group, indeed, that I found very easily, very naturally, the director, and I think also the lead actor behind the film. And we just set up a Zoom. So it really did feel like a real festival. Obviously, it's all virtual, but at the same time, I could still meet them. And I think it probably does take that extra effort. But at the end of the day, if it's really doable and if you do it, it does feel like a real experience, doesn't it?
Yes, it really does. But you're right, you do have to put in the extra effort to make that work, because it's not, you can't just put stuff online and hope that people will watch and find it, especially with the smaller festivals like ours. It was our first year. So it was really important to create a real community vibe. And we had a lot of great feedback and people connecting, like you and the filmmakers on there. And we also had reviews written by John Higgins at Film and TV Now, and he engaged the filmmakers in the group as well. So it was really good to see that happening. But yeah, it was really important for people to really engage with that, and you have to put in a little bit more effort. Both the festival and the filmmakers, you have to really get involved, and that's the whole point of a festival, is to really engage with each other. So I think it worked really well.
Very true, very true. And talking about engagement and connecting with each other, there's something that's still possible, right? Even in lockdown or going virtually, is the press. And you have some really, really amazing press partners like Film and TV Now. I think also Dig In Mag, right? Do you want to talk about them?
Yes, Dig In Mag as well. They were amazing. They wrote a kind of a whole summary of what would be available as well. And I think, yes, that it's really important to think about what you can do as a festival in terms of other things other than the stuff that has to be there in person. There's so much more that you can do. And we did this for the London Independent Film Festival this year as well. Had lots of reviews and press going on. We had lots of partnerships with channels, online distribution channels, such as UK Film Channel, and we were also doing things together with UK Film Review as well. And I think there's so much that needs to be done additionally that we can do together to really promote the films.
Yeah, that's quite important. Distribution opportunities are definitely important, and considering it's happening alongside AFM, that's definitely one of the great perks of your festival, is that you do provide that platform for filmmakers to connect with each other, to meet new people to connect with, and obviously distribution opportunities. That sounds amazing. You had quite a few awards, right, that you released. Were there any perks related with the awards, or how was the reaction? Because I saw some filmmakers on social media being really excited about them and really thankful for them. So that's amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing. So what we announced all the winners on our YouTube channel, and people are able to connect with each other on there. And I've got screenwriters connecting with other filmmakers and also with me. And I think what's really important for people to realize is, especially with the smaller festivals, there's such an opportunity to connect with the festival team and the volunteers and the filmmakers what we do is we work really hard to connect people with each other. So it's really important to really engage, because we can provide more opportunities than you might think. So that's a big significant thing that we can do. Obviously, we hopefully will grow from here, and we can provide more prizes, awards from next year and onwards.
Yeah, definitely. It's really what you make of it, right? Like as a filmmaker, because we're also both filmmakers, and we know like the power of festivals and that platform that just enables you to connect with your audiences. And just it's all about what you make of it, right? You can meet the most wonderful people you're gonna keep working with, and that's really precious. So it's really exciting to hear that. And so aside of the Los Angeles International Film Festival, you also work on a couple of other festivals at least, right? There are quite a bit going on. So do you want to talk about them?
Yes, I'll say a bit about the latest one that I'm involved with, which is called Cine Excess. And that, again, we had to be online this year, but it went very well. We had lots of online conferences with special guests who were academics within the industry as well. So that was very exciting. And something that will also be announced late in the new year will be the Cine Excess label. So more information about that, but we have some very exciting films coming out as well.
That sounds really exciting. Like it's really exciting that they have so much conferencing, like, and it's a label on top of being a festival. And obviously there's also Live, right? And we had such a wonderful, I think it's probably the last festival in the world that still went on, right? About 6 months ago with the Golden Age opening night, and it was such a wonderful experience. So the Genesis Cinema is wonderful too. So you must be excited for that to come up again, right?
Yeah. Hopefully we will be able to have a physical event in April when it runs, the London Independent Film Festival. It was in March last year, so we managed to have the opening night with the Golden Age, and then a week after that the whole country went into lockdown. So it was one of the last bigger events. So yeah, it's I don't know if there were any events afterwards, but we were there, and hopefully we'll be able to be there again in April next year, but we'll see how it continues to evolve, and we'll give you more information about that as soon as we know it in the new year.
Yes, and if it's not possible to go on physically, you'll still go on virtually, right? In the same way that you did with Los Angeles. So I guess filmmakers and screenwriters can submit on Film Freeway, right? Because it was such an amazing experience. And I know the Shakespeare Sisters the year before, like, loved the experience. And we had such a great experience of the festival. Like, as a filmmaker, I so much appreciate all your efforts, and the Genesis Cinema is wonderful. And I think it's really just, as you say, about what you make of it, like just sharing this experience, and a lot of the audience members, and there was a lot of press coming up, right? We really hold on to these moments because they were from, well, practically all of us. It was the last night out before the unexpected happened. Like, we really had no idea it was happening, and we just, I think it means a lot. Like, festivals really create this experience. So for now, it has to be online, but it's still quite exciting. And also, you probably want to talk about all the perks of going virtually, because there are many of them. Like, for instance, as you mentioned, like, we are being, both of us, on the Franklin International Indie Film Festival in Tennessee. And that's something that is possible also thanks to technology, right? Because now you can be anywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. So there are so many festivals around the world. It would be impossible to be on panels at all the festivals. You wouldn't get to all of the places around the world, no matter who you are and how much money you have. It just wouldn't be possible. So I think that's the great thing about being online, is that you can really bring communities in really remote parts of the world together as well. And you can virtually attend lots of remote places that you otherwise might not be able to get to. So I think that the virtual side of that is really inspiring, because you get to meet people you otherwise might not be able to. So that's really exciting.
That's really important, because there may be some cliches going on around this, because just to break those cliches, here at Paris International Film Festival, we ran a survey to know what exactly attendance filmmakers or aspiring filmmakers are feeling like. And we realized from the survey, there were a lot of filmmakers or aspiring filmmakers who, first, they don't necessarily have the money to travel, so they can't even attend the festival to see other filmmakers' work, which is an issue, because we know how important it is to know your audiences, to connect, and just to understand the quality of the films that we're screening, right? Because they are the most amazing films, and really at Paris, we really have to congratulate the filmmakers and screenwriters. They're just showing how resilient they are. They're just fantastic work. And what we're realizing, that thanks to these virtual opportunities, you can jump from anywhere, right? Even if you're very far from a big city, or even if sometimes some even wrote to us that sometimes they're a bit shy to just go to speak to a filmmaker, even if, please go speak to the filmmakers, we love that. But it's true, sometimes you can feel it's still not necessarily, doesn't feel so accessible, not as much as it is now, right?
Yeah, it's so accessible for everyone now, isn't it? I find that just amazing, how it's possible to do everything online and still meet with each other and talk to each other. It's really, it's such an amazing experience to be able to do that.
It really is. Do you have some like very, very practical tips for them, either filmmakers or just people who attend, and to just connect? Like I've heard that IGTV is really useful, the Instagram stories. Like, do you have some like very small practical tips? You think, you mentioned the Facebook group for the festival. So if there is a Facebook group, please engage with the festival. Do you have any other tips from IFF maybe?
Yeah, so I have a couple of top tips really. So the first thing is to really, get involved with the festivals. Send really high quality images, posters, still images, whatever you can, really capture properly, get them taken by a photographer on set and send them to the festivals, use them online. People will be able to engage with that better, because as we know, it's much easier to if you've got a picture, you're going to stand out. If you've got a video, same. It's much better than if you're trying to write really long text. So really have images that stand out, and engage with the festivals, because that's what we're there for. Festivals are a promotional tool. So you can't just rely on send your film to the festival and that's it. You need to really suggest, get involved, engage, meet each other. That's the whole point of this, and that's why the festival is there. It's there to encourage people to watch your film, and we're there to support. And we can only do so much. If you haven't taken pictures, we can't share them. So it's really about getting involved and doing as much as possible yourself. And the other thing is just to, just don't be shy. Just make your film, have your voice, meet people. Just never think that your opinion isn't good enough, or that you can't get involved, or that it's not valid in some way, or that your voice isn't important. It really is. Just have the confidence to share it with people. There are communities out there, and we want that content. We want to see it. So all relevant stories, diverse stories from different cultures and different societies, and anything that all voices are in. It's really important. You don't always want the same stuff. You don't want the same opinions all the time. You want to hear different things from different people. So that's my other advice, is don't be scared to make stuff and be involved.
That really means a lot. That really means a lot. Here at Paris, we also value so much diversity. We really try to bridge that gap. So it really means a lot for filmmakers to understand that if you're wondering, questioning if your voice matters, that actually is a good sign, because we need this content. We want to hear your voice. So if you feel like that is probably that it's so new, your audiences will crave for it. So yes, I think that's really, really exciting. And for us, diversity behind and in front of camera is really important. So in the films you have, the films you have selected, or those just you received, Are you happy with the diversity you see? Do you protect, curate diversity, either female filmmakers or just from minorities? How do you go about that?
Yeah, so we promote all diversity. We look for LGBTQ content. We encourage female filmmakers, both both festivals where I've curated things. So for the London Independent Film Festival, obviously we had you with the Golden Age last year and the Shakespeare Sisters the year before. So we really encourage female filmmakers and diversity. This year in LA, we had Hometown Proud. We also, like you mentioned earlier, we had Marcus, which is also diverse story. I don't want to give too much away because I know it's coming up in other festivals, so please make sure you watch it and encourage these different voices, because and also I feel like there's a lot of documentary that is very popular, and we show a lot of documentary films because different stories are really important, and it's important to tell those stories, and I think as a festival you really need to be looking for things like that.
Yes, the unique voice, the inspiring voice, and just to also show what the audiences are craving to see, but that's not necessarily widely available yet, right? It's we're tending there, but there's still a lot. It's still a long road. So that's really inspiring that you actually push those filmmakers and you make their voices heard, because audiences are really excited for them. So I think that's really amazing to hear. Do you on that topic, do you consider yourself a feminist? Like how would you describe your involvement for female filmmakers? Because that's obviously a very important topic, right? As we discussed at Franklin Festival.
Yes, I think there's so many issues with people for and against feminism, and are we excluding male filmmakers? There's so much debate about this, but I think what's really important to me is that everyone has equal opportunities, and that goes for female filmmakers as well as having diversity, like you said, in front of the camera and behind it. And I think it's really important as a festival to promote films that have diversity and female filmmakers included, because I think those are kinds of voices that need to be heard, and it has a trickle down effect, in my opinion, that you're not going to get a film funded with diversity and women behind the scenes if you don't have those films also awarded at festivals. So we have to break that barrier and start by awarding those films first, and then it can have a knock-on effect. And as we're seeing, there are much more opportunities and funds for female filmmakers these days, which is amazing to see. And there's so many amazing panels at the Franklin International Indie Film Festival where we spoke. They're doing amazing things. And you have the Women in Film International, Women in Film and TV International, and you just have so many groups for female filmmakers in particular, and hopefully it will get more widespread for diversity and LGBTQ groups as well, because I think all of that stuff is still a little bit behind us, but hopefully in an ideal future everyone would have equal opportunities, and we all filmmakers would get funded equally. So that's what we hope for, and that's what we're working towards.
That's fantastic to hear, and that's extremely important. And you mentioned such fantastic people who are involved also, as we know, in breaking those barriers and bridging that gap. So obviously, Franklin, and by the way, for those of you who are watching or listening right now, when this is being released, it's going on right now, the Franklin International Independent Film Festival. Really recommend you to have a look. The panels were just so inspiring, and it's not just Natasha or me, but also like the other panelists were just so inspiring. And I think there are a lot of really exciting tips and really exciting films. So we really recommend that. Obviously, Film and TV Now, as you mentioned, and Dig in Mag are fantastic media. They've been pushing the films on your festival in virtually. All of this is still going on. Like there's so much that is still going on, and there's so much you can still do. You can still write, you can still line produce, you can prepare. Like we always think of filming, but there's so much work that really happened before. So that's actually a really exciting to know, right?
Yeah, definitely. There's so much that you can do, and there's so the development takes a long time as well. So there's lots of stuff to be involved with, and all the panels. The LA IFF panels are still all on our YouTube channel, so please check that out. And Paris International Film Festival as well. You have special guests all the time, so that's amazing as well. And there's so much you can do online as well, and other jobs. There's tons of stuff, isn't there? There's just, for me personally, there's not enough hours in the day, so there's lots of stuff to get involved with.
I agree, yes. And about like the Los Angeles International Film Festival panels on YouTube, I've already binge watched all of them, and they're amazing. Like, they're really interesting content, and you'll find a lot of tips about financing, press, really all you need to know as a filmmaker. And you have to remember that right now you can also still send your applications for funds. That takes a while, right? So all of this knowledge, because really knowledge is power, is really beneficial, and it's available on the YouTube channel for free. So just go check that out for those who generously give their input. And thanks so much, Natasha. You've been so generous with tips and your time. I just want to ask you a last question. We've been meeting in London. We've been meeting in LA. What about Paris? What does Paris inspire you?
As soon as we can get to Paris, I would love. Absolutely. And a reminder, everyone, as well, is it a week now that's left for submissions to Paris International Film Festival?
Thanks so much for mentioning. Yes, precisely. It's until Monday, December the 7th. Thank you for mentioning. Yes, just a few more days.
Hopefully everyone get your films and scripts in. It's amazing.
Thank you so much for mentioning. And yes, honestly, with our jurors, we are just amazed by the work. It's so inspiring. And as we have a focus on positive messages, there are so many important major messages which are told by filmmakers from female filmmakers diversity. And the quality of the artistic quality is amazing. Like, I guarantee you'll be so inspired. And we, even with the jurors, they are very excited to meet everyone who attend. I know our partners also really excited. It's gonna be, even if it's virtual, it's like actually gonna be a very good perk because everyone is gonna connect. And honestly, wow, well done. We've been really amazed by that. And thanks so much, Natasha, for mentioning. We can't wait for LIF in April. We can't wait for LA IFF next year. Really, we have a lot on our plate, right? So we're really excited to be part of it. Thanks so much for having us.
Absolutely, and thank you for having me, Jenna, as well.
Oh, you're most welcome. So we'll put Natasha's details and the festival details, all the festivals she ran, in the description of this episode. So please check it out. Really, knowledge is power, and your voice matters. So à bientôt.
Thank you. Bye.